Welcome to Ask Fear and Greed, where we take your questions and do our best to answer them. I'm Michael Thompson, and good afternoon, Sean Aylmer.
Hello, Michael.
Sean, today's question is, it's a cracker. It has come in from Ben via our website, via fearandgreed.com.au. If you've got your own question, feel free to shoot it through the website or social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, any of those. Ben asks, he says, when the Republicans win in the US in November, so he's kind of already assuming that that is going to be the conclusion, he goes, there are many economic plans they will implement, but the one I'm really interested in is the plan to devalue the US dollar, which I believe the VP nominee JD Vance is particularly keen on. Ben says, what are the best strategies to take advantage of this, do you think? Cheers, Ben. And Sean, if I may, I'm going to tack on my own Ask Fear and Greed question. Devaluing the US dollar, what is it and how does one actually do it as well?
So much in this one. So first thing to remember is the currency is just a price that goes up and down depending on the flows of goods and services in and out of a country. So when people need to buy lots of iron ore from Australia, for example, they need Aussie dollars to give to BHP, Rio Tinto, Fortescue Metals and friends. So that pushes up the price of the Aussie dollar. So when commodity prices rise, you often see the Aussie dollar rise. There you go. That's the reason. As a result, it's a bit of a misnomer to say a strong or weak currency is good or bad. There are benefits in having what we're calling a strong currency, as in appreciating against other currencies. So if the Aussie dollar is at 75 US cents, for example, it's cheaper to travel overseas. Buying something from China, like a TV, is cheaper. Petrol prices, because we import petrol, if the Aussie dollar is stronger, well, we might be paying $1.50 a litre. But the downside is that our exports become much more expensive. It's actually harder to sell all that iron ore and coal and gas and agricultural products and that offshore. Demand for Australian stuff reduces when the Aussie dollar increases. And this is where the whole JD Vance, Donald Trump theory comes into it. They like the idea of devaluing the US dollar because if it's cheaper against the euro and the pound and the yen and the Aussie dollar, it makes the stuff the US makes more competitive on the global market. US manufacturers, for example, will sell more stuff overseas. All that money comes into the US economy, helps growth. No doubt that does work. All that's true. But the Republicans can't just get elected and suddenly make the dollar cheaper. That's not how it works. Markets decide the value of currencies, and that's been the case ever since currencies have been floated. I mean, we talk about the reforms of the Hawke-Keating years, 1983, the floating of the Aussie dollar. This is what we're talking about. The problem for the US government is that the greenback, the US dollar, is the reserve currency of the world. It's how many, many things are priced. When we go through the cost of oil, the cost of gold, I'm always talking about it in US dollars because that's how it's priced. It is the reserve currency. It's what people want. It's not like you can just devalue it with a stroke of a pen. The way you can devalue it, and Argentina's done it, and some basket case economies have done it, is just totally junk your own economy. Run huge deficits, but even if the US runs huge deficits, it already is, even if they're doing bigger ones, I don't think this would do it. You could just totally junk the place. That's one way you could definitely devalue the US dollar. That, of course, comes with its own challenges, 10% unemployment and all that sort of stuff. So I suppose to answer the question, Mr. Trump and Mr. Vance, they can't just come in and devalue the dollar. It's just, unless they totally devalue the economy. So I don't think they're going to do that. So it's not really an investment way to play it. The final thing I'd say on this is, Ben, it's a guy called Alan Greenspan who used to run the Federal Reserve, and he used to talk about the, which way is a currency going to do? Well, flip a coin and you've got as much chance of getting it right. And so if you're trying to, on your money card with your local bank and you say, I'm going to buy US dollars because I reckon that at some point that's going to devalue, and then I transfer them back to Australian dollars and I'll make money out of it. That's fool's gold. And that's what Alan Greenspan says. So I back him on that. But the concept that they're just going to come and devalue the currency, I mean, they can try, but it's not really up to them.
That is the best explanation I have ever heard of how that works. Like there is nothing I can say that will add any value at all to this. Sean, I think you've answered Ben's question very, very well. You've answered my added on questions that I added on kind of without any notice whatsoever extremely well. I'm just going to stop talking.
I think I spoke too much, to be honest.
No, perfectly. I think you've answered it perfectly. And if you would like Sean to answer your question also perfectly, equally perfectly, then please send it on through via the website, fearandgreed.com.au, or through any of those platforms on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook. Thank you, Ben, for the question. And thank you, Sean, for answering it.
Thank you, Michael.
I'm Michael Thompson, and this is Ask Fear and Greed.